Kempire is brought to you by... Hey, Kempire fam, are you okay? This Friday, September 19th at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 3:30 p.m. PST, I'm going live with my faves at Butter Skin to spill the glow. I'm breaking down my real routine and the products I actually use, and so much more. We're talking quick, simple switches that make a huge difference, tips for glowing skin, and exclusive deals and giveaways you can only get during the live. Be sure to tune in and follow at Butter Skin everywhere so you don't miss it. And get ready to upgrade your routine and level up your glow with me, TheKempire. Let's get it, and I'll see you then. You're listening to Kempire here on the Kempire Radio Network. Here we go now. Here we go now. Here we go now. Hercules, 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 Hercules. Okay, welcome back to the Kempire channel, your number one source for pop culture news and music, entertainment, reality TV, and so much more. Be sure to like the video if you haven't already. And if you're listening to this, be sure to give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Shout out to everyone that's already in the building for our final episode, our final recap, rewind, rewatch, recap of season 6 of the Real Housewives of Atlanta. If you missed any of them, you can check them out here on the Kempire YouTube channel or podcast. Okay, I do have some notes. We're going to be reviewing part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this reunion. And I have to say, I don't remember how I felt back in the day when this first aired, but rewatching it, I'm like, damn. You know, when we talk about Katie Janela for Real Housewives of Orange County and her going to be sort of like a lone wolf at this reunion, even though based off of recent social media behavior, it doesn't seem like she'll be a lone wolf. She'll have Tamra, look like maybe she'll have Emily, maybe she'll have Shannon on her side. Kenya Moore at the season 6 reunion was on her own. I will be twerking on a fence during this rewind, rewatch, recap because there are instances during this reunion I'm like, Kenya, you did that. You're at fault here. You were wrong. You're not showing accountability. But there are other instances where I'm like, all of you guys are against her, including production. So I saw Angel in the chat said the way that Carlos swooped Portia up after the physical altercation. First of all, when we think about how Carlos has been with like Martell on Love and Marriage Huntsville, we're not surprised that he is babying someone who really is the villain here. It lands a little bit differently, but the way that they've been babying Portia since back then, it just lands a little bit differently in 2025. We will get to it. Because I will be twerking on the fence because I feel like both people were wrong in this situation, but we will get to it. But everyone was against Kenya. No one had Kenya's back. And although Cynthia was there and it didn't seem like Cynthia was against Kenya, she also did not have Kenya's back. Fast forward to 2025, some people might say, same. It's the same situation. I don't know if I believe that 100%. Okay? But we'll talk all about it. First of all, one of the other things that I noticed in season 6, remember I said I feel like in season 6, you know, over these last couple of weeks of us talking about it, I said, okay, we're starting to see where Nene's ego is getting in front of her, where things are changing when it comes to her energy with the cast. And then we saw this happen again during the pandemic reunion. You remember that? And that was her last reunion, right? She didn't come back after that. She closed the laptop and that was it. That's the same energy that we get from Nene this entire reunion. And the way that the energy she was giving Andy Cohen from the very beginning when he called her Lenethea Monique Leaks, he's like, oh, we're going by full names now. Okay, Andrew. Like her energy towards Andy was so diva-ish. It was a lot. I was like, okay, what happened? Did something happen behind the scenes? And look, there was something that Kenya says in part 3 of this reunion where she says during Pillow Talk, Nene was complaining, you guys are trying to make Kenya Moore the queen of Real Housewives of Atlanta. And no one denied it and no one confirmed it. Even when Candy was actually like, well, I didn't hear that. everyone's reaction to that made me say, oh, so this is something that was happening. And also, we've been saying, when we watched Pillow Talk and we recapped Pillow Talk, Nene's energy was weird. It was definitely weird. So I wouldn't have been surprised if Nene during Pillow Talk behind the scenes, and why she was probably really mad at Kenya, was because she felt like Kenya was a threat to her spot. Fast forward in 2025, they are great on their own. Nene is the icon, the legend of Real Housewives of Atlanta. We're never going to take that away from her. And she is greatly missed in the reality TV space. However, I do believe that she was threatened by Kenya. I do believe that. I can't remember everything that was happening on social media, but when you fast forward to 2025, Team Twirl is strong. And when they said that Kenya wasn't coming back for season 16 or season 17, Team Twirl was all out there dragging the streets, okay? So I do believe that Kenya was building a following despite some very interesting behavior during the season that we've been rewatching. And it's just like, Kenya, a lot of performative behavior, okay? I also feel like in part 3, I know I'm jumping around, but in part 3, I do feel like when she was confronted by Apollo, again, why didn't anyone check the fact that it felt like Apollo was attacking? You want to talk about Peter getting involved in the women's business, but no one felt like Apollo was doing too much in his reactions and responses to Kenya. Like, I feel like you both were equally wrong in your interactions and inappropriateness. If anything, Apollo, you're more wrong because you're the married person here. Just saying. Foxy says that Kenya was awful on that reunion. I don't know if I would say she was awful. She definitely was not. I can't even say 100% that Kenya was innocent. I can't say that at all. At all. However, I did feel for her by part 3. She held her own with every single person coming at her. No one on her side. Kenya Moore held her own in season 6 reunion. She definitely held her own. Especially when I look at part 1. So we're talking about part 1 right now. Part 1, after she was physically attacked by Portia, everyone checked in on Portia. Yes, she was having an episode. She was on the ground. Carlos King was at the scene of the crime. Okay? Everyone holding her down, checking on Portia. It's okay. It's okay. Although Kenya Moore was the one that was dragged to the ground. Kenya goes to exit. Andy goes to check on Kenya. Then he goes to check on Portia. At no particular time, but we didn't see the interaction. We only heard the interaction between Kenya and Andy. But we saw the interaction between Andy and Portia. He even hugs Portia. I didn't see him give a hug to Kenya. And she was the one that was attacked. But hear me out. Rewatching it with the scepter that she had, with the loudspeaker that she had, the bullhorn, whatever you want to call it, I do watch that back and I'm like, this is a bit much, Kenya. But again, fast forward to season 16. We keep citing season 16 during these rewind, rewatch, recaps of season 6. This is very similar to what we've been talking about in season 16. Bravo dropping the ball. Because as soon as she pulled out the bullhorn, and the bullhorns are loud. I haven't seen a bullhorn in years since I was in school. Bullhorns are loud. She's doing this right in Cynthia's face. Cynthia should have been like, you're not going to be doing that. Stop. Andy should have said, no. Okay, you want to have the scepter? Fine. Keep the scepter near you. But pointing the scepter in people's faces was inappropriate. Someone should have stopped her. Someone from production. Andy Cohen should have been like, okay, keep the scepter to yourself. Because that can be considered a weapon. Then the bullhorn. As soon as she took out the bullhorn where the batteries were falling out. As soon as she took that out, Andy should have been like, put that away. That's not necessary. We're not doing that. It's one thing to have your props. And yes, this is probably the beginning of having props. But your props should not invade the space or physical space of someone else. You want to bring out a sign, fine. You want to bring out a scepter, you can bring out the scepter, but not point the scepter in people's faces. So rewatching it, I was just like, I didn't like that. I didn't like that from the beginning. And I really had to think to myself, did they at any point tell Kenya to stop, put it away? They didn't. They didn't. But does that justify Portia physically assaulting Kenya? Well, we've had these conversations. We did the same conversation with season 5 of Real Housewives of Potomac and blah, blah, blah. You can't dictate how someone's going to react. However, your employer can. Let's not forget this. Your employer can and should. That's an important detail. I know in the real world, when we're out in these streets, if someone does something, if they put their hand in your face and they don't touch you and you end up touching them, okay. But you also know when you do something like that, the law can dictate what happens to you. But if you're in a work environment, the employer can dictate what happens to you. We can sit and debate all day, every day in regards to, well, you can't dictate how Portia's going to react. Yeah, but her employer can, and they did. They sent her home. Yeah, they sent her home. All right. I mean, part one, I forgot the part one, that's where the physical altercation happened immediately. Immediately in the very beginning, that's where the physical altercation between Kenya and Portia happens. But Kenya was just like, she's fired. She's fired. After she touched, well, first of all, before the actual grab happened, Kenya was like, yeah, hit me. Because some might say, very similar to season 5 of Real Housewives of Potomac, enticing, well, hit me, drag me. She didn't say that, but, from season 5 of Potomac. So she's like, well, hit me and lose your job. Hit me and lose your job. I do believe Portia probably blacked out in that particular instance, because she does end up, because when someone says lose your job and you do it anyway, that says to me you're no longer there. Portia was no longer there. Because if someone's warning you, you could lose your job if you touch me, that says to me you blacked out. You did not know what was happening next. You weren't even thinking. You just said, ah. Okay. Danielle says, you about to lose your job. Your employer can dictate. Another HR professional in the building. Yeah. And that's exactly what happened for Portia temporarily. All right. Let me just make sure, because there's a lot of things. It's a lot to go over, because what they're doing in this episodes, these 3-part, it's just rehashing a lot of what we've already talked about. So I'm not going to regurgitate a lot of every single moment of what happens during the season, okay? But they do confirm in part 1, because remember we were talking about this during our last recap in regards to Nene Leaks and her health and things like that. Nene confirms in the reunion, at the top of the reunion, that she did have a pulmonary embolism, and that's why she missed out on Candy's A Mother's Love premiere and things like that, okay? They also, because this is literally a complaint was filed against Apollo at this particular time, so he's being accused of wire fraud, identity theft. And she corrects Andy when he says he's been indicted. And she's like, he has not been indicted. It's a complaint. Well, fast forward, he went to jail. He went to jail a second time. Okay? So that was at the very beginning of them just getting into talking. And Phaedra, I'm sure you probably saw this. Phaedra did a video, I guess she was at the Emmys this weekend, and she was sort of shading Angela, because you remember they had their little back and forth about not being in the rooms that Angela's in with her husband, Charles Oakley. And she's like, I guess I'll be in the rooms with the A-listers at the Emmys. So she went on this whole tirade this weekend with this video about, like, I guess I'm in the room. I don't know where they're at during the season, but Angela had a very funny, quirky response in the comment section. She said, I guess my invite must have got lost in the mail. You are the godmother. Or the godfather, really. That's what they referred to her as. But I say all of that because I'm looking at Phaedra at this reunion in regards to her reunion look. Again, when you watch season 16, that reunion look versus this reunion look, both bad. Both really very, very bad. But you came out saying that Angela looks old. Again, this at this particular point is Phaedra's third season of being on the show. Okay? Third season of being on the show and looks older than Angela's first season of being here on this show in season 16. But that's my opinion. But a lot of you agreed. Tish says that Phaedra is so bothered. Phaedra's so bothered. Cece says, speaking of Phaedra, she looked real good at the Emmys yesterday. Glam. Yeah, she did look good. She did look good. It was giving like a little like old Hollywood glam. She looks good. She has her moments where she does look really good, especially recently. But the early years, to call someone old looking, like, come on now. Pot, kettle, all right? Queen says, as much as I understand that Apollo was aggressive in his tone with Kenya, I would have let that play out too. The woman told you not to speak to her husband outside her company, so your convo now. But Queen, who has more loyalty to the marriage? Shouldn't he have ended that conversation as well? Shouldn't he have said that, like, I don't want to have a conversation with you. My wife doesn't want me having this one-on-one conversation with you. I also believe that was production, though. Okay? But here we are. Takesha says, the rooms Charles Oakley is in should be heavily guarded. He may lose his cool at any moment. I don't think the Charles Oakley proximity reads the way Angela thinks. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. Okay, guys, keep liking the video if you haven't already. Tyrese, thank you so much for being a member for the Super Chat. Tyrese says, Nene was so grouchy at that reunion. I completely forgot. And I think we forget how grouchy Nene was at this reunion because there were so many iconic moments and facial expressions and gifts from this reunion. But when you watch the reunion, part 1, part 2, part 3, you're like, oh my gosh, she was so, very much during the COVID reunion that they had. She was just so like mean and just like she didn't want to be there. She seemed like she felt like she was above it all. Like she didn't really want to engage. So she says Nene was so grouchy at the reunion. She was threatened by Kenya and Candy. No one had Kenya's back on the arm grab, which is so crazy to me when you rewatch it. We talked about it from the Pillow Talk incident. Clearly, that man did grab her aggressively. He did grab her aggressively. And again, no one even brought up the weirdo Christopher Williams getting up during that whole conversation. He was the first to get up and then weirdly trying to act like he was doing something. I don't even know what he was playing with, but then he turned when his wife brought it up. He got up for a reason, so he was the aggressor in that situation. Ms. Parker, thank you so much for being a member, and thank you for the super chat. Ms. Parker says, in my opinion, those props are what led to what we saw Kenya do in this last season. By doing nothing, she was inadvertently rewarded. She got worse and worse as the seasons progressed. Well, I can't even argue that. We literally said that when what went down between her and Britt Eady happened. We literally said that during that time. Asia says, when Nene closed that laptop in 2020, I switched off and never finished the reunion up to this day. Did you stop watching the seasons too? Or you just didn't finish watching the reunion? That was an iconic reunion, though. That was an iconic reunion. Right? DJ says, Nene was so nasty and so rude at the reunion. So nasty. I think that's why we forgot that Nene was so crotchety at this reunion. But yeah. Anyway, let's move on. So Kenya and Portia get into it. The reunion immediately dives into their season-long feud between the two. Kenya, as I said to you, brings out these props, a megaphone and a scepter, to taunt Portia during the reunion. Because when you really think about it, she was the only one that Portia was the only one that Kenya was using those props against. She didn't use it against Nene. She didn't use it against anyone or Phaedra. She just was sort of like, she pointed it in Portia's face. Okay. So Portia accuses Kenya of provoking her all season. Production then shows all the different examples from the season 5 and season 6 of the things that Kenya had did to Portia. Okay? While Kenya, in that particular moment, calls Portia dumb and irrelevant. The tensions build until Portia physically gets up and gets in Kenya's face. So Kenya gets up as well. And this is where Kenya's like, oh yeah, touch me and lose your job. Touch me and lose your job. So Portia literally grabs Kenya by the hair and pulls her down. So they start fighting. Cynthia runs to the other side. You could already tell Cynthia's energy at this particular time because the friendship between Cynthia and Nene had been falling apart. But they hadn't talked about this until I think it was part 3 about the downfall of their friendship. But Cynthia gets up and she's just like, oh my gosh, what is happening here? Cynthia, her energy the entire reunion was just so like timid, like, you could definitely tell something was going on with her. Okay? So Carlos comes in and he's pulling, because Andy's trying to separate them. Carlos King comes in, he's holding Portia down, very similar to the time that he held Portia down from Cynthia on that boat, Kenya's event on that boat. Another attack. Okay? So, Carlos is holding her down. She's screaming. I will say this. Nene did show up for Portia. When you fast forward and see the things that have happened recently between Portia and Nene, Nene was there for Portia. She was just like, Portia, don't say anything. She's trying to cover her mouth. And then Portia's like, I can't believe I did that. And then she's like kicking her feet like a toddler. Kicking her feet like a toddler. So they take her back to the dressing room. Why did why did Carlos pick up Portia like she's a damsel in distress? First of all, I was more impressed that he was able to pick her up because he looks like an itty bitty man. I'm just saying, like, he was strong. I was like, okay, well, Carlos, we see you. He picked her up and he carried her away. But part of me watching it, I'm like, why are they treating Portia like she didn't just aggressively attack someone? Yes, she was having a breakdown, and I was just sort of like, okay, but she also just attacked someone. No one went to check. No one from this cast went to check on Kenya and see how Kenya walked away. She went to her dressing room. And I'm not saying that Kenya wasn't wrong too. Kenya was wrong for that scepter and the loudspeaker and things. She was wrong for that. But no one seemed to go check on Kenya. And some might say, well, that's the situation, the dynamic that Kenya set up for herself when it comes to this cast. But what about production? Did production go to check up on Kenya? The only person from production that we saw during the reunion that went to go to talk to Kenya was Andy Cohen. Carlos is backstage, woo, 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 with Portia. And she's like, I can't. And Carlos is holding her like it's Martell. Oh, it's okay. So Andy goes to speak with Kenya. And Kenya's just reiterating, I'm not going out there. It's either me or her. I'm not going out there. She's there. There's no way. That's the one thing that they handled correctly. There was no way that Portia could come back to that reunion. So Andy goes to speak with Portia, and he's like, what's going on? And she's like, I blacked out, but she's been picking on me all season, this and this and this and this and this. Only for us to see more violent behavior from Portia in later years. Someone said at least Miss Lawrence went after Kenya. Well, Miss Lawrence was there probably doing Kenya's hair. So Miss Lawrence was going, he was definitely, we saw Miss Lawrence during the season multiple times filming with Kenya. That was her friend. So clearly I expected nothing less. So here's the thing. It wasn't just Carlos pacifying Portia. It was Phaedra. It was Nene. All of them were back there checking on Portia. And I'm watching and I'm like, and then when you look at the edit, production was pacifying Portia. The cast was pacifying Portia. And that's part of me why I'm sort of like, I felt for Kenya in that particular moment. I think what she did was wrong with the scepter and the loudspeaker and the triggering things. However, still, like, no one had her back in that particular moment. No one. Even the edit did not have her back. But that's my opinion, okay? All right, so what else happens in part one? Nene is confronted about her behavior during the season, specifically the Pillow Talk party where she was hosting. Her hosting style turned chaotic. The women accuse Nene of stirring the pot while Nene insists that she just keeps it real. Okay? They talk about a little bit about Cynthia and her friendship with Nene, but that's explored more in part two of the reunion. Okay. Cynthia talks about some of her ongoing struggles in her marriage to Peter Thomas. In part one, the ladies question Peter's involvement in her life and business, while Cynthia defends him, but also admitting to financial and communication issues. We talked about this before. Multiple times during season 6, there were things that Peter did that were questionable, especially when it comes to business and him not informing Cynthia. But Cynthia was riding with her man, and I think that was what really caused the issue between Cynthia and Nene. I think Peter was in her ear. Nene doesn't have your back. I'm your husband. You need to have my back. I think Cynthia was also listening to what people were saying on Twitter and social media. I think that's what made her feel different. Because remember, during the season, the couples sit down to have a conversation, and we think all is good. But Cynthia sees what social media is saying about Nene is not your friend, you're Nene's lapdog, and that got into her head, and I think that's what affected her relationship with Nene. They, at this particular point during the reunion, they had not spoken in maybe like 3 weeks. Okay. Let me see. Guys, as I'm doing this, be sure to like the video. I just want to, because everything kind of seeps together for me when it comes to this reunion, like part 1, part 2, part 3. So I just want to make sure that there was, for me, the biggest part in part 1 was the fight between Kenya and Portia and how that was handled. Let's see. Let's move on to part 2. And if there's anything that I don't remember, I will go back. Let me see what part 2 is talking about. Oh, yeah, because literally part 2, they start talking about what went down between Portia and Kenya. So Nene defends Portia, and she's like, you are over here with a scepter and a megaphone and doing all of this. So she was saying very much what social media was saying at the time, that Kenya triggered her. And that's why she reacted the way that she reacted. So Kenya says, well, no, you can fight with your words. You do not need to fight physically. She's like, that's what I've done. Last season, this season, I fight with my words, not with my hands. Okay. So Andy at the top gives a disclaimer saying that Bravo and production does not condone any sort of violence. Okay, and then all of the ladies react to what happened. Again, no one had Kenya's side on this. But again, no one had her relationship. And Kenya felt like no matter the issues that we have as a group, none of you should be condoning violence. We should not be condoning violence. So Kenya expressed her perspective and that she felt attacked and humiliated, while Portia, as you know, was breaking down backstage. And Andy says, hey, I think you should go home, collect yourself. You're not going to continue with this reunion. All right. So then they talk about Cynthia's marriage to Peter, okay? And they talk about the financial issues and disagreements that they've had about the club and things like that, all right? So other women questioned Cynthia for being too passive with Peter's decisions. Then they talk about the fallout between Cynthia and Nene. Nene, oh, I froze. Please hold. Oh, just when I'm sitting down, somebody wants to get up, jump down here and fix it. All right. As I'm doing this, guys, don't forget to like the video. It's easy and it's free. All right. Please hold. Nene does not want to talk about her friendship with Cynthia. Do you guys think that on some level, Nene was hurt? Now looking back at it, yes, Nene had a stank attitude during the reunion. Nene, she was grouchy the entire reunion. But then when I think about how close they were after watching the season, they were definitely close. Closer, yes, they became close because of being on the show, but they were really close. And I do feel like Nene was hurt, like genuinely hurt, because she probably was also blindsided that all of a sudden, thinking that they put everything to the side. Thinking that they put everything to the side, but now Cynthia's not talking to me. Cynthia's listening to social media. Cynthia doesn't have my back. I think they could have resolved this at the reunion, and they never did. Not at the reunion. I think they really could have resolved this because Cynthia's justification was that she felt like Nene did not respect her. But when you look at it, a lot of people would agree with that. It didn't seem like Nene respected her. I think if Cynthia decided to just move on and just let it go, yes, they probably could have moved on. But I do believe in setting boundaries with people. Because if she didn't set a boundary with Nene, Nene would have continued to test that line in their friendship. Tyrese says that, yeah, Nene shut down. She did not want to talk any further. And I wonder, partly because she was hurt, if she did really go there when it comes to her friendship and her being hurt. Because Nene does put up a guard. I wonder if she really did that, she probably would have broke down. And coming to this reunion, Nene definitely had her walls up for everyone. There was a lot of conversations that she did not want to engage in. Or Amit says Cynthia is a sociopath and has never been loyal to anyone. Well, damn. Tell me how you really feel. Black Healer says, I think Peter was problematic and a source of Cynthia and Nene's first breakdown of their relationship. I agree. And I believe coming into this reunion, Peter was like, you have to have my back. She called me the B word. You see what social media is saying about me. I feel like there was a lot happening offline that we didn't see that was playing out to what we were seeing on this reunion. Andre says that I'm a Gemini. I cut off because I have feelings. Could be. Okay. So we don't get anywhere when it comes to Cynthia and her relationship with Nene during this reunion. Basically, what it seems as if, despite them ending everything on a good note during the season, it's what played out on social media. And we talked about this. We talked about this with every other city, is the fact that although you fight during the season and maybe you resolve it during the season, when it starts playing out again, a lot of these housewives get in their feelings and they're reminded of how they felt during that time. And there comes the element of social media. And not one thing we don't talk about is the fact that fans are in the comment section. Fans are in the DMs of these housewives saying, like, that's not your friend. You're her lap dog. They're saying all kinds of things that are triggering. We have to keep in mind, Cynthia is also a Pisces, so also very sensitive. So I wouldn't be surprised that she's listening to social media. Fast forward how many years later, we know Cynthia is very sensitive. Ultimate Girls Trip. We didn't expect that situation with Cynthia to happen because Cynthia is very sensitive. Do I think that she's innocent 100%? No. But I do think that she's very sensitive. Amit, thank you so much. She said, by the way, you and Brooke looked amazing on Friday. Thank you. And again, thank you to everyone that viewed the live stream or came out to our New York City show. We had a fantastic show. Sold out show, another show here in New York City. And shout out to all of you that watched the live stream. Just a reminder for anyone that did not get their link, email the venue and forward your confirmation number and they'll email you the link. But for the most part, everyone got to watch the show either live or the replay. Thank you so much for those that supported. Also, last night I dropped new Kempire After Dark, the Villain Era tour merch. So even if you weren't able to come, you can still have some tour merch and experience And again, shout out to Candace. Candace came to the New York City show and she was wearing our original tour merch. Please understand, the tour merch is there for a limited time. So if you want something, go get it now, okay? Because the villain era is officially over in 2026. Lies! The lie! Thank you, good girls. It says, I enjoyed the show. Thank you so much. Vicky says, I loved TheKempire. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, everyone. Alma says that Cynthia is a lover. Akiva says, but Cynthia keeps the job. Okay. Keith says, change of behavior after getting a random's opinion is a sign of insecurity. I agree. It definitely is. It definitely is. She was definitely insecure by what the fans were saying at the time. She was definitely insecure. Okay. All right. Miss Foodie. Hey, Miss Foodie. Miss Foodie is the one who had real tea, but Miss Foodie didn't come to the mic. Miss Foodie came to the meet and greet and was just like, Miss Foodie keeps notes, y'all. And when I say notes, I'm talking like day and time and what recap I said what I said. She came to the meet and greet with a list. And she was like, well, on this particular date, you said this and this and that. And she wanted clarification. So Miss Foodie actually got some tea that y'all didn't get. Again, another reason why you need to come to the actual show. I know not everyone can come to the show. But if Miss Foodie came to the mic, y'all could have got the tea, but she didn't. It's okay, Miss Foodie. Keep keeping your notes, Miss Foodie. Lies! Keep keeping your notes, Miss Foodie. I appreciate it. I was like, okay, not you getting the tea, because I did respond. Did I stutter, Miss Foodie? I did. I did not stutter. I actually answered her questions, if I could remember. So some of the stuff it was like, I'm like, I don't remember what I was talking about then. Oh, Miss Foodie, what is your sign? Jen said, is she a Virgo? Miss Foodie, what is your sign? Okay. All right. Shout out to everyone watching on Twitch. I see you guys. Hey, Miss Whistledown. Miss Whistledown's on Twitch. If you're on Twitch, let me know that you're watching on Twitch. Keith says, show me the receipts. Oh, look. Oh, no, Miss Foodie says, she said, nope, she's not a Virgo. Charade says that a Team Virgo. Our Friday show, our New York show was dedicated to the Virgos. I came out to Beyonce. We even sang happy birthday to the Virgos. Miss Whistledown says, I was there. Yeah, she got the tea too. They got the tea. Themselves, they got the tea. Miss Foodie says, I'm an Aquarius. Okay. All right. All right, guys, don't forget to like the video. We're almost at 250 likes. Shout out to those of you that have been a part of our Rewind, Rewatch, or Recap. It's a new show that we've launched here. We will be taking a little bit of a break because, as you know, we have Housewives of Salt Lake City coming back this week. We have a new season of, what is the other show coming back? There's another show coming back. I can't remember, though. But we still have OC that we're recapping. We have Miami that's about to end. We've got a lot. We've got a lot to cover. But we will be bringing it back. But we won't be doing Atlanta. We'll be doing probably Roni. So stay tuned. Yes. So Salt Lake City premieres this Tuesday. So we will be having our live recaps more than likely on Wednesday. So stay tuned. Coca says the only franchise I like to watch because of Mary's faces. Ocean Dreaming says Team Virgo here. I know you. We got a lot of Virgos. All right. So Nene Leaks is in the hot seat in part 2 of this reunion. She's asked about her behavior, including her dramatic exit during the infamous Pillow Talk party and her being dismissive. They talk about the Pillow Talk party during this reunion. And I honestly feel like again, they were just going to be team anything that's not Kenya Moore. Because if you rewatch that, again, Christopher Williams' weirdo behavior getting up before Monique started to, not Monique, what was her name? I don't remember her name. Unimportant. Christopher Williams' wife. Okay. Or domestic partner. Common law wife. I don't know. So if you look at the behavior, then you know it was like, no. And then when you see how he grabbed her. And then when Apollo comes out in part 3, him trying to justify, like, Apollo, this is why you got locked up.
And scene.
This is why you got locked up, Natalie. Thank you, Natalie. Christopher Williams' wife. This is why you got locked up. You're a bad liar, not a very good liar. I can't with some of y'all in the chat. If you want to see the replay, make sure you're watching the live chat during the replay, y'all, because it's a mess. Lou says that Nene went to start mess and kept fueling it all night. I think she was also on. Come on, Luz. I don't think. Well, remember that was brought up during the reunion because Kenya was on the Bethany Frankel now failed daytime talk show. Just saying. Omarosa called it. All right. And she had said that she felt like Nene had a drug problem. And Nene says, I have never done drugs in my entire life. So I believe Nene in regards to that. But Nene was definitely lit that night. I don't know if she was lit off of alcohol, but her attitude was definitely stank. Just saying. But anyway. But when Apollo in part 3 tried to justify what happened, I mean, I guess he has to, because remember, he's also facing this whole, it wasn't an indictment at the time, but you saw what he was facing criminally. When Phaedra was asked about that, y'all notice her response? She didn't say that Apollo is innocent. She said, I had nothing to do with it. I was not named in it. I had nothing to do with it. But you notice that she did not say that he was innocent. I thought her response, I mean, she is an attorney, but I thought her response was quite telling. She's like, I had nothing to do with it. Is that what you say when you're trying to support your partner and you're denying rumors that you guys are split? Okay. But maybe that was the plan all along. But here's the thing, question, and I'm not saying this is impossible. There are plenty of people that are married to people that have no idea what they could be doing. They could be doing all kinds of criminal activity and you have no idea. But knowing Phaedra Parks, do you think Phaedra had no idea, even if she wasn't involved? Do you think that she had no idea that what he was doing, so he was doing some funny business, even if she didn't necessarily think that it was illegal, that she was like, where are you getting this money from? Because remember, Kenya also brought up in part 3 that the conversation that Apollo had with Brandon, Apollo said that he's paid through Phaedra's business or something like that. And I believe what Kenya said. Because, where did you get that from? Yes, you can make things up, but I believed her. I was like, oh, that makes sense. Break the Cycle says, I agree with Kempire. Andy should have checked Kenya. As an employer. And mind you, this is years ago. And then when we look at what's happened since then, it's like, bravo, you haven't learned a thing or two? The Informed, thank you so much for the super chat. Did we ever see Brandon again after this season? I don't think so. Right? I don't think we saw Brandon again after this season. I don't remember. Don't ask me. Ask the chat, though. Did we ever see Brandon again after the season? Even when she had Brooklyn. I know he's still very much in her life, but did we? I feel like we had. Maybe not to the level that we were seeing him. Funky says that Phaedra Creonta Parks knew all of Apollo's dealings. Tylin says she probably told him, don't get my name tied up in your drama. Tiara says she's smarter than Apollo. I can't see him sneaking that without her seeing something. That's what I was thinking, Tiara. We literally, watching this season, Apollo's not the brightest. Because part of me also thinks to myself, Apollo's not the brightest. So was he really the mastermind? I mean, you remember what Angela Staten said. That made a little bit more sense than what Phaedra was saying. Okay, Siobhan says, yes, he made appearances in season 7. See, I rely on you guys to remember those details. I don't remember all that stuff. But Siobhan says that, yes, he made appearances in season 7. Oh, Coco says he's a Scorpio man. Trust me, he's calculating. And she's a Scorpio woman. Oh, Doll Baby says briefly in season 8. But there was a point where we stopped seeing Brandon. And I believe they're still friends. Jen says that Phaedra turned a blind eye. But again, there are people in marriages currently that turn blind eye to certain things. I'm not saying necessarily criminal activity, but certain things they turn a blind eye to. Lisa, in her marriage to Lenny, do we believe she turned a blind eye to that situation? Oh, I'm at work says it was when Kenya was looking for office space. Sherry says, or Sherry? She says she's a known liar. She definitely knew something in regards to Phaedra. Okay. Siobhan says that Apollo was stubborn and immature. Keith says, didn't he move to California? She mentioned it in either season 14 or 15. Wait, was he living in Atlanta, though? I thought he always lived in California. Don't get me lying. I don't know. Maybe. I know he lives in California now. All right. So Nene's in the hot seat about Pillow Talk. So they rehashed the whole situation with Pillow Talk. Again, here are my thoughts on Pillow Talk. I don't believe that Kenya was solely to blame. What I will say, though, Kenya definitely was a fire starter. During the previous episodes before Pillow Talk, you were the one to bring up this whole, you were the common law wife. They bring up during the reunion that Kenya and Christopher Williams had a thing, and that's the reason why she wanted to come for Natalie. Very possible, the 90s, all these people, all kinds of rumors about people dating and things like that. Okay? So, hold on. I just wanted to see if there was anything that I wanted to highlight here, but okay. So, I believe Kenya was at fault there. However, for it to get physical, it all started with Christopher Williams, and I'm going to play this out for you for those that are listening to the podcast. I'm standing. Christopher Williams weirdly gets up because I think they planned this. Christopher and Natalie, they were going to bring this up because I'm sure she went home and she said that you said this about me. And he gets up oddly, and Nene's just like, if you see her facial reactions, like why are you getting up? And he's like fiddling with something. I don't remember what he was fiddling with. And as soon as Natalie started talking, he turns around to Kenya and Brandon. So now he's physically standing over them. Yes, he's not like 2 feet away, or maybe, but he wasn't far. Okay? And now you're standing. So when Kenya tries to defend herself, and she does definitely backpedals, and Natalie's like, don't backpedal now. Kenya starts walking towards Natalie. That's aggressive. Okay. But there's no need for Christopher Williams to grab Kenya by the arm. He definitely grabbed her arm. That's a fact. He grabbed her arm, and I don't care what you want to say. Maybe he didn't necessarily yank her all the way, but he definitely grabbed her aggressively. We can all disagree but it was definitely aggressive based on what we watched. However, he could have literally just said, back up, leave my wife alone. He could have did that without touching her. But, allegedly, they say he got problems touching women. Allegedly. Those are rumors from back in the day. Allegedly. Okay? Keith says that Kenya was the catalyst of both physical fights this season. Someone is the common denominator. I don't know if I can't give her being the catalyst, especially not for Pillow Talk. Especially not for Pillow Talk. Okay? But anyway. Asia says he was a problem. And then we can't even defend Apollo. Apollo getting physical with Brandon. That made no sense to me. I think Apollo was trying to have Peter's back because Brandon was like, Peter, get off of me. And I think that's why he decided to jump in. Peter, during the reunion, he was like, I forgot his exact words, but basically insinuating because Brandon is gay that he's not a real man. Which we've talked about even recently. Okay, who said that recently? That we had to do a video when we talked about this. Oh, Dr. Heavenly. This is years ago. We're talking about the same thing where Peter is saying that during the reunion. Mind you, Peter is saying this, and there's a gay man hosting this reunion. And then he tried to backpedal during the reunion, talking about, oh, you know what you meant. You know what you meant. All right. So they rehashed that, okay? Nene remains defensive. She's been defensive this entire reunion. Okay, she seems like she does not want to be there, but she doubles down on what she said and how she feels about that situation. Okay, saying that she's moved on and she doesn't dwell, okay, in drama. Let's talk about Mama Joyce. So Mama Joyce comes out in part 2 of the Real Housewives of Atlanta season 6 reunion. If you're just joining us, we launched a new show called the Rewind Rewatch Recap here on the channel. If you missed any of our recaps of season 6 of the Real Housewives of Atlanta, be sure to check them out. You guys chose it, so you guys will choose the next one. But I'll choose the city. And then you can choose what season that we rewatch and talk about. But it probably won't be immediate because we do have a new season of The Real Housewives of Potomac that's coming. So stay tuned for that. I think maybe once OC and Miami end, then there will be a little bit of a lull at the end of the week. Then we can do it. I got a lot going on, guys. You know, we don't just talk about housewives or reality television here on the channel. We talk about pop culture. So I don't want to miss out on pop culture stuff that we could be talking about as well. Okay? All right. And thank you guys so much already for 250 likes. If you haven't liked the video, let's get to 300 likes as well. Let me also drop the call-in link for our general audience as well. Shout out to everyone watching on Twitter. I see you guys got like almost 200 people watching on Twitter. Let me just drop the call-in link for our members first because we will be taking callers in just a moment. I'm not quite done yet. But Mama Joyce comes out, y'all. Mama Joyce lost weight. She says she lost the weight because of stress. So they rehashed everything that played out during the season and her thoughts. She's like, I raised a millionaire. You don't want your millionaire to get with she didn't even say a thousandaire. She was just like a hundredaire. She hates Todd. She still hates Todd. Do y'all think that she's gotten over it and she loves Todd now? I bet she's still funny with Todd. Yeah. Don't y'all agree? I bet she's still funny with Todd. So I don't feel like that has changed at all. But we just don't see it play out on television anymore. Right? All right. Let me go back here. So they talk about, because at this particular point during the reunion, her Candy's wedding is a week away. So her mom comes out and she talks about justifying her feelings towards Todd. But then she also talks about social media's reaction. She said social media turned on her when they found out that she was trying to set him up. She denies that she was trying to set him up. Okay. What do we believe? I believe she definitely was going to try and set him up. I think if the friend didn't actually do it, they would have moved forward with the plan. Allison says that Mama Joyce plays nice for the babies, as she should. She doesn't like the man, but I'm not surprised. I'm sure they probably have their moments where things are all good, but I'm sad that Todd's mom is not around because I think that would have probably forced Mama Joyce to be nicer to Todd. Don't you think? I think the energy would be very different. If anything, this would have been a really great opportunity for her to take him in as a son. You know, Mama Joyce lost a son. This would have been a really great, especially years later, this would have been a really great opportunity for her to, now here's your son. But you remember, even during, the last season that Candy was on, she was calling him Lemons. You know what I mean? Black Healer says that Mama Joyce is hella problematic, and every time a restaurant closes, she lets Candy know about how she feels about Todd. Oh my God, I wouldn't be surprised. That is an assumption. That is not a fact. We don't know if that's a fact. Claudia says Nene was very upset about Bravo covering Candy's wedding. I mean, right before this season, they had covered Nene's wedding. I think Nene was insecure about her position on the show. She was insecure when it comes to Candy. She was insecure when it comes to Kenya, because Kenya was building a name for herself during this season. So I definitely think that she was insecure. Jessica says that Todd looks like her son, Riley. Patrick Riley? Does he? I can't remember now. He was very handsome, though. He was a very handsome guy. Okay. So they rehash the issues between Mama Joyce and Candy during the season. I did notice the energy between, even though Nene and Candy don't get along, Mama Joyce and Nene were multiple times like, hey, laughing and doing all these things. Candy and Nene get into it over her mama because something that Nene said in the blogs about her mom, okay? So that's where we get the iconic, I said what I said. And that's where Candy responds, and what you said was some BS. Okay? So they get into it. And mind you, they're sitting next to each other most of the reunion, part 1 and part 2. The only time it changes is when Mama Joyce comes out. Mama Joyce comes out, and then Mama Joyce is sitting between them. T says Ace in some pictures looks like his uncle. Oh, I have to go look at an old picture because I can't even remember. Like, I vaguely remember a picture of Candy's brother, but yeah. Miss Wilson's down and said, and what you said was some BS, the part people forget, which was a good comeback. But I do love I said what I said. Allison says, laughing out loud, iconic. It wasn't iconic. I mean, there were so many iconic sayings from Nene, even though she looked disengaged during the reunion. Her facial expressions, some of her facial expressions were iconic during this. Her reactions and some of her sayings were iconic during this reunion, despite her being, even her reunion look, she looked a mess during this season. I hated her dress. I hated her hair throughout the season. And during the reunion, it didn't get any better. But okay. All right. Candy got emotional a couple of times. You know, Candy in the crying voice, explaining the pain of having her mother not support her relationship while trying to balance her love and family loyalty. Okay. But she still says, like, don't nobody is able to talk about my mama. And, you know, when we recap the season, I think she's lucky that Todd stayed around. She's lucky. But, I mean, fast forward, it was a good decision. They're still together. How many years later? Todd is brought up as a major topic with some of the ladies defending him, including Phaedra. So I feel like she didn't want to get in between the family drama, rightfully so. But she's like, I feel like Todd is a good guy. I mean, it was season 7 when things fall apart between Phaedra and the Tuckers. Lou says, my mama, my man, my mama. All of that, okay? All right. So Apollo comes out. Apollo is sitting there. Again, I was uncomfortable with Apollo attacking Kenya because they sit there and talk about Peter being a B word and getting involved in the women's drama. And I know this drama involved him, but let Phaedra fight your battle. She is fully capable of fighting the battle. So I felt uncomfortable where it felt like this couple was attacking her. And Phaedra says that she's had a separate conversation with Apollo about it. I feel like that's where it should have ended. I did not need to see Apollo coming out, fighting Kenya, talking about like, oh, you need me to stick around. And that probably was his karma. You talking about, oh, you need me as a storyline. Sir, and now your story, everyone's storyline's gone because you got locked up. Okay. All right. What else happened in here that I don't want to forget? I mean, because in part 3, a lot of another iconic moments happen because the husbands end up coming out in part 3. All right. Let me see. All right. Let's get to part 3 of the reunion. Okay. So Phaedra and Kenya are going at it in part 3 of this reunion. All right. Over the Apollo texting situation, which later Kenya ended up being vindicated. And when it comes to that Apollo texting situation, I vaguely remember. All right. Kenya insists that she never pursued Apollo and denies any inappropriate behavior. Oh, we forgot to talk about Kenya's boyfriend. Thank you so much, Mr. Melanin Magic. I almost forgot. They do talk about Kenya's African boyfriend that we never saw during the season. So the ladies don't believe that he's real. But Kenya's like, well, some of you guys have met him. Nene's met him. So Nene's like, oh, I met him? She's like, yes, remember, you met him. So she recalls the story. And again, that is another legendary, iconic moment when she says, I met this man came up to me and says, Kimora's across the street. Kimora's across the street. So she later figures out, oh, he was saying Kenya Moore is across the street. So she's like, if that's what you say as me meeting your boyfriend, then okay. So Kenya defends the fact that because they started bringing up Walter and whether or not she paid for Walter. Well, Kenya looks to Candy. And she's like, well, Candy knows that this relationship is real. She knows people that know that this relationship is real. Only for Dr. Simone recently saying that that relationship wasn't real. Because remember, Walter's related to Cecil. Okay, but then again, he's getting his information from Walter, right? So there we go. Whatever it was. When did TJ? TJ before it was TJ, okay? So, one thing during the season, and during our recaps, we kept on forgetting to even mention this African, millionaire that she was dating. We never met him. I don't know if we ever saw him in social. I guess Nene's the only person that ever met him. Nene was the only person that ever met him. But okay. So thank you guys for the reminder. I can't remember everything. This is 3-part reunion what we're talking about. But thank you for reminding me. All right. So they talk about the Kenya and the Apollo of it all. And this is where we have the iconic read from Phaedra. And I will say, when even rewatching it twice, just for this recap, I'm just like, ooh, that was a lethal read. So it's in Phaedra. Like, Phaedra is an icon in herself when it comes to Real Housewives of Atlanta. And that is a lethal read. To the point where Kenya is just like silent. Like, what do you say after someone talks about literally your storyline while you're traipsing on the weekends going through sperm banks and then she talked about the men that possibly do this. I was like, damn, Kenya, like, what do you say? Like, to be the shade assassin, you got assassinated. You gotta admit it. You gotta admit it. Cupid Potato says that read left me shook. Even watching it years later, I was like, oh. Like, that hits like it was hitting me personally. I'm like, this is not even hitting me personally. But Jillian says, was it rehearsed? At first, I thought to myself the first time rewatching it, I was like, was that rehearsed? But it didn't give rehearsed. It really did not give rehearsed. It really felt like she meant that from her, like her spirit. You know what I mean? Because if it was rehearsed, look, Miss Melon Magic said it was rehearsed, but it landed. Maybe that's what it is. Because it was lethal. Wait, hold on. Miss Parker says word on the street is that Faye got that read from Cadillac Kimberly. What? Okemia says that will forever be funny to me. Jen says it came from her soul. Regina says it was a gut punch. It really was. Look, Kenya didn't even have a response. All right. So the husbands come out. So, of course, they address Peter being in the women's business. And here's the thing. I agree that Peter was messy and Peter was in the women's business. Peter's still, to this day, in the women's business. Still. But the one time I'm going to defend him was at the charity event that Kenya hosted. He didn't even come to Nene. It's not like he went to Nene and was just like, I didn't like what you did. Nene came to him He's like, oh, Peter, you got a problem with me? Like, you got a problem with me? And that's where he speaks his piece. So when it comes to any issues between Nene and Peter, I disagree. I think Peter, he never said anything to Nene until she came to him. It's not like he got himself involved. He's there at this event and he's saying, I don't like that she did that. He didn't go to her and say that. He was talking, I don't forget who he was talking about. He was talking to Cynthia. I thought this was interesting, Anonymous T. Anonymous T says, Andy, when Kenya says that she's not going to, what did she say? She's not going to, like, get in the mud with pigs. And Andy says, are you leaving the show? And I was like, where did you get that from? Like, for me, I took that as Kenya just saying that, you know, like, she's not going to get into this fight. He didn't ask that of Nene. The amount of times Nene was like shutting down conversations and arguments. I thought that was interesting, but I do believe that production was not on Kenya's side at all. They did not have her back at all. Not for the edit, not in that moment. And again, do I think that they should have had her side? No, they should be at the least neutral. K-Baby says Nene was ready to argue with everyone that season. A mess. Arjun says, always team Nene. Okay. Q Potato watching on Twitch. Again, guys, don't forget to follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/TheKempire. Shout out to everyone that's on Twitch. If you're in Twitch, let me know where you're watching from as well. Q Potato says, man, Peter and Nene was hunching. That's the energy that they gave off forever. Yeah, they definitely had like a chemistry, but I don't think that they were hunching. Okay. Mama Allie's also watching on Twitch and on YouTube. She says, my dad always said that quote, never wrestle in the mud with a pig. You just get dirty and the pigs like it. I'm at work says, Andy just read all of them. Right? When you think about it. Kenya said, I'm not going to continue arguing with and rolling in the mud with animals. With pigs. So he was sort of like, are you leaving the show? That should tell you everything that you needed to hear about that. Whistledown is yay from the Metro Detroit. Okay, wait a second. Miss Whistledown, you came to New York from Detroit? Did I know that? Jason says Kenya voiced that she never felt protected there. I mean, season 6 reunion, and again, I'm not saying that Kenya is innocent. I'm not. I'm twerking on a fence when it comes to this. I do see where Kenya is wrong. But I did feel for Kenya, especially after the Portia fight, that it felt like everyone checked in on Portia, including production, and no one really had Kenya's back. Even when you look at the edit, them inserting all the moments that, you know, Portia's like, you know, I feel like she's been coming for me the entire season. And they're backing Portia up. Singer says Peter was the only one that went toe-to-toe with Nene. Well, and this is why they called him Patricia. But like I said, in this particular instance in season 6, Nene came to him. He didn't really insert himself. All right. What else did I want to talk about here? So Nene's friendships and feuds. Okay. So they talk about that. They revisit the issues between Nene and the rest of the group. I mean, there was a lot of moments. Nene was fighting with Candy. Nene was fighting with Cynthia. Nene was fighting with Kenya. Nene only was getting along with Phaedra, and that's new. Even Candy was like, oh, what's going on here? And Nene got defensive with that. She was like, what, do you want us to always fight? We can't get along? They also talked about them both dating, Candy and Phaedra dating that football player. So I'm surprised they didn't invite some of the people that were on the show. I know Todd came out in regards to Natalie and Christopher saying that they just wanted to be on the show. That's why they were saying what they were saying. They never really called Todd an opportunist, but the adjectives definitely felt like opportunists. Alexis says that Patricia is the best read ever. Lord. And y'all continue to use it to this day. But he keeps living up to it, though, if we're going to be honest. I will defend him when it comes to the Nene charity stuff, but overall, he definitely inserted himself. Honk the horn on it. Thank you, Mr. Miller Magic, for reminding me all the different moments. Because when Kenya brings up them not paying off their car, the ring wasn't paid off, and Greg was like, "No, the ring is paid off." And then she's like, "Honk the horn on Greg," and they're like, "Boop boop, beep beep." They definitely had each other's back, but I told you, I felt like, may he rest in peace, Greg's personality changed. In season 6, after they got back together and they got married again, and look, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with defending your wife and having your wife's back no matter what, but it just felt like, wow, like Greg is different. Greg is different, but they were strong. They rode for each other. Hey, Kenya Jones. Kenya Jones says, came to the Atlanta show. I appreciate you. Don't forget, guys, we just launched new tour merch for the Kempire After Dark, the Villain Era. Tour merch is now available. Sweatshirts, hats, and T-shirts are now available at houseofkempire.com. Go there. There is a link in the live chat, but if you're watching anywhere, just go to hausofkempire.com. Yes, Kenya. Kenya says, getting my villain era merchandise. Yeah, I feel like anyone that came to the show, you should definitely get it. But if you weren't able to come, you can still have the merch. I love my merch. My merch is coming too. I can't wait to wear it during the live so you guys can be jealous. And I just uploaded some new designs as well. Just in time for my Loverboy era. Okay? Thank you, Claudia. Claudia says the live stream was fantastic. Thank you. Miss Whistledown says, need that merch. Go get that merch today. All right. Keith says that Greg wasn't that intimidating for me to feel like he had Nene's back. She was more aggressive, in my opinion. Okay, guys, we're almost at 300 likes. Let me see. Do we have any callers backstage? Oh, we do. We do. People that want to share their thoughts on our Rewind, Rewatch recap of the Real Housewives of Atlanta Season 6. If you're part of the replay, shout out to everyone that's been watching this, rewatching this with us. I appreciate you guys. Shout out to everyone that voted on this season. It was the most iconic season, I have to say, of the Real Housewives of Atlanta. And yes, Carlos was a part of that. He was a bodyguard. He was lifting people up out. there, y'all. But okay. All right. Again, guys, thank you so much for all the likes and for the super chats. We appreciate that. Kendra, thank you so much for being a member and for always sending in super chats. I appreciate that. Kendra says, the live show, now we know your favorite curse word. It was my favorite curse word of that live show. Because if you come to some of the live shows, I've had some other different ones. It just felt like at this particular live show, that curse word was my favorite. Thank you, Kendra. She says, wishing you many more years of success. Thank you. I'll take it. I will take it. All right, live chat. I'm going to drop the calling for you guys as well. We do have some members backstage that want to share their thoughts and opinions on Season 6 reunion of the Real Housewives of Atlanta's Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3. I'm sure there's plenty of stuff that I forgot, so feel free to call in and share moments that you want to relive with me. Don't forget, you can also hear our live recaps and special episodes, exclusive episodes, on the Kempire podcast. Subscribe today, and don't forget to leave us a 5-star review. Okay, we even talked about that during the live show. All right, let's bring up Toya first. Oh, first of all, let me just do my disclaimer. The opinions of the callers do not represent the opinions of myself, the Kempire LLC, or our sponsors. And everything that they say is alleged and of their opinion. Okay? Okay. Let me bring up Toya first. Toya, what did you want to share?
Hey, Kempire, how are you?
I'm well, how are you?
I'm good. I just wanted to say, with the whole, situation with Mama Joyce and Todd, it's really sad to see that after all these years, how long they've been together, the success of OLG. I know they've had issues as well.
Yeah.
That she just still couldn't get on board, even after his mom died. After the kids, it's like she's just never going to get on board. And I feel like with her disrespecting him, I think he kind of goes back at her because there's only so much you could take.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's probably ever really crossed the line.
Yeah.
But it's really sad to see that she just won't give the man a chance,
Yeah, Scorpio mom.
and unfortunately, Candy just is like, well, that's my mom. So, and it's like, girl, you really got to try. But I don't know, that lady got some hate in her heart for that man. And, it's unfortunate. I just want to say also, Nene, why did Nene ever get her own spinoff?
Look.
Because I find it weird that like Kim got her own spinoff that lasted as long as it did.
Well, you remember what the lawsuit said.
That's what it's got. Okay, because we only seen a couple of little random series for Candy and for Portia, but I feel like Nene's personality in itself and her actual friends that are celebrities, I would prefer to see a spinoff, and I was hoping like another network would pick that up.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just like, but I mean, she has her show on, YouTube and it's doing well. She's constantly, I guess, doing interviews, right? So, but I like Nene. She need to come back. This is a golden era of Housewives that I just don't feel like we're going to get again.
Yeah, I don't think so.
All right, that's it for me.
Thank you, Toya.
Thank you, Kempire.
Bye. All right, we're going to bring Tyler up next. Tyler, what did you want to share in regards to season 6 of the Real Housewives of Atlanta reunion, part 1, part 2, part 3?
Watching this season back, it's like I agree with the other caller. Nene did have a spinoff though, her wedding special, and it was actually good to see Greg had other children. It was issues with that relationship. It was pretty good, and to see her with her other friends. I will say this. I could see Nene. I mean, I don't think she's coming back, of course, now, but she would fit what's going on now to see where she's at now. And Cynthia kind of makes sense with the Nene versus a Kenya. But I will say this: I feel no sympathy for Kenya at all. Like it's just sad to see like. She was the demise of the show. Nene was right. Like all the antics and the fake storylines and things like that. I feel like Nene is, I hate to say this and I'm not trying to be mean, but she cannot articulate what she's trying to say all the time. What she really was trying to get the girls to see was you guys are following what Kenya did because she's somewhat the star of the show, bringing on fake boyfriends, thinking you have to find a moment instead of staying in who we are. I think the only person who kind of did that was Candy stayed who she was, and Nene did too, good or bad. But the rest of those girls, even Cynthia at some point was kind of like trying to chase a storyline, and that started to be the demise of the show. And I just, Kenya did too much, and I think she deserved every single thing that she got. I'm sorry. Was she great TV? Yes. But Kenya is why Real Housewives is where it's at now, because everybody was trying to chase a moment. Those moments with Nene were authentic, whether we hated how she started to act or not. Those moments, and the thing about Nene was, if she didn't like you, you still were able to come around. Like it was a season where she couldn't stand Portia, but everybody was able to come around. Kenya started this gang up mentality. It was just too much. But I mean, it is what it is now, but I'm sorry. I don't feel any type of way for Kenya, and I do feel like Portia should have been held responsible for her actions because no matter what, you don't put your hands on people. And both of them should have been handled. But I just think it was a situation where Kenya's star was so big, they wanted to keep her. But and one last thing, I went back and watched season 5. If Nene would not have gotten on the internet and called Andy all kind of racist and did everything wrong, Nene could have won more money and things would have been in her favor because the way Croy attacked those cameramen and the way that Kim just stormed out and got her own. I just watched this today and got her own show after all that. Nene, you need, girl, who advised you? Well, she's a Sagittarius like me. We act off emotion. We're not Tauruses where we think everything through. but that's all for me.
Thanks, Tyler. Bye. I mean, we love our Sagittarius though. I'm sure if I met Nene, I probably would like Nene, like as a person. But there's some of the antics on the show didn't love, but definitely a lot are iconic. All right, let me get to some more of these callers that are backstage. We've got Keith. Keith, what did you want to share?
Hey, Kempire.
Hey.
Hey. So first of all, I saw the live stream and I thought it was amazing.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, I couldn't get there in person because my event got postponed 2 hours. But I did see the live stream and the tea that y'all were spilling were amazing.
Thank you.
But I also wanted to say with Kenya, one thing an Aquarius is going to do is ruin the show because if Kenya and Marlo haven't proved that, then I don't know what is, because they have definitely shown exactly what or how low an Aquarius can go.
I just want to say this because I will get the heat for this. Aquarius will be like, oh, you don't like Aquariuses. And mind you, I haven't said anything. It was Keith.
I said what?
Oh.
But also with Nene. One thing I noticed about the way she was dressed is that she was kind of dressed like an evil stepsister. Like the way her wig was kind of put on her head.
You're right.
It was very, very much Maleficent vibes. And with Mama Joyce, I honestly feel sorry for people who have parents like that, because I couldn't imagine my mother or my father being so involved in who I'm dating or who I choose to love. Like, why do you care? Is your check coming the first of every month? Is your bills getting paid? All right, so be quiet, Mama Joyce. Or I don't know why she cares so much. And she knows she's in a will, so why is she even really hassling Candy about any of this situation? And one last thing with Phaedra, I felt like that read was rehearsed. She definitely rehearsed it during her lunch break.
Oh.
However, I think it was very well planted, and I think it landed for sure where Kenya needed to hear it. But I want to know, who was in Kenya's ear the last few seasons, because she weren't quick with the reads the first couple of seasons. I mean, she was decent with it, but I felt like the last few seasons she was more so, I would say, more so low down. Maybe she got it from Marlo, or maybe it's just an Aquarius thing, but you didn't hear that from me. That's about it, though.
All right. Thanks, Keith, for calling in. I mean, you definitely see a change in Kenya. Because remember, if you've been watching our recaps of season 6, I was like, ooh, Kenya was kind of cringy. So I was like, okay, but then you start to see an evolution of her. You start to see the real her. I think that's what it is. You start to see the real her, as opposed to this, we're twerking on the piano and all this other stuff. So I did find it interesting during the reunion. Someone wrote in as a question, like, you guys are, what, I forgot what they said, 2 doorstops away, or I forgot what they said. 2 steps away from 50, and you shouldn't be twerking like that. And I know we've talked about twerking, but for me, it had nothing to do with age. It was the constant twerking of Shamia that made me go like, okay, girl, we get it. You like to twerk. Okay. All right. Let me bring up the K perspective. K perspective, what did you want to share?
Hi, Kempire. This is my first time calling in. I am so excited. I want to share something, an observation that I have about Candy and Mama Joyce's dynamic.
Okay, yes.
And I'm speaking from a personal perspective and also from studying psychology. So if you guys pay attention, Candy's dynamic is very similar to the dynamic of the Braxton sisters.
Oh, wait. Uh-oh. You dropped out, K perspective.
Notice that? She
There you go.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Okay, sorry. But there's this dynamic of control that Miss E has over the Braxton sisters, and you see the same dynamic with Candy and Mama Joyce. And a lot of people, they laugh at Candy because she's quick to cry, but a lot of that is anger and a lot of it is pent up. I honestly believe, like Mama E did with the Braxton sisters, I believe that Mama Joyce, whether Candy, and I love Candy. The only thing I don't like about her is Mama Joyce. I don't think she realizes that I believe there was some mental and emotional abuse there between Candy and her mom, as well as the Braxton sisters and Miss E, because as a grown woman, no grown woman should fear their mother the way the Braxton sisters fear Miss E, the way Candy fears her mother. And when you are emotionally abused, you tend to feel like you can't get your thoughts out. You feel like you cry, you get angry. Instead of getting your thoughts out, you cry. A lot of it is anger. They see it as weakness, but it's like that feeling of helplessness. So I just noticed that dynamic with Candy and Mama Joyce, and I noticed that with the Braxton sisters as well. And I think that we need to have a little grace for that. Like Candy may not even, she loves her mom so much, you can't say nothing bad about her. Part of it is the Stockholm syndrome. And a part of it is just, you can't say nothing. That's why I've met Candy in person. I would never tell Candy, that about her mom, because you cannot. She would cut you off. You know what I mean? But
I would never.
Yes, would never. You can't say anything about her mom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to share the observation. And another thing I wanted to share is that, so many people, they always talk about Candy. Todd just wants her money. But when I hear people say that about Candy and other well-off women, it makes me wonder, like, is she not good enough for a man to like her, just because of who she is? Why does it always have to be about their money? Yeah. Candy, she's not the only celebrity, but anytime a man comes into the picture, is always her money, as if a man, like she's not that girl. You know what I mean?
And that she's not beautiful. Yeah. And
exactly. And deserves somebody that will love her for who she is, you know? So I just wanted to share that. Love you, Kempire.
Thank you. Hey, take care, Kay. All right. Let me bring up next Angel W's backstage. Angel, what did you want to share?
Hey, Kempire. How are you?
Oh, well, how are you?
I'm good. So with season 6, the reunion, besides the Carlos souping up the portion of it all, put me thinking that Andy should have stopped hosting a long time ago, because it's like he's been inequipped for the job, and he's been playing his favorites for so long that we just kind of got used to it. So that, and then I have beef with Keith now for talking about Aquariuses, because I am one, but he is right about Kenya and Marlo. Like, Marlo should have never become a full-time peach holder, and Kenya has been messy since day one, being too extra. So
you agree that Marlo and Kenya ruined the show?
Definitely. Well, Kenya took it away. She took it to where people started hitting below the belt when, like Nene said, in I think season 6 or 7 reunion, at least with Kim and Sheree, they had limits and certain things you didn't touch on. And Kenya made that be eliminated. So definitely. And then even Marlo, her thirst was just she needed her thirst quenched so bad that, she tanked the show.
Damn. Okay.
And then, for Miss, I wasn't even going to talk about Mama Joyce again, but with her and all the stress and how she lost so much weight because of Todd.
Yep.
And me having that Scorpio mom, I will say that Candy will probably be cutting her mom off soon as her kids get older, because if the disrespect towards their father doesn't change, Mama Joyce is going to take it upon herself to even disrespect the children. And I've had that experience myself. So that's why I had to cut my mom off 3 years ago, because she went overboard and said some really crazy things to my teenagers. And that was it. So just, Candy, watch out for that, because it's a possibility. And that's it.
Wow. Thanks, Angel. Woo.
No problem. Have a good one.
You too. I would like to say, based on what we've heard, things seem to be okay with Mama Joyce and Todd. At least okay. I don't know if it's lovey-dovey, but at least okay. All right, Brandy's backstage. Brandy, what did you want to share in regards to Real Housewives of Atlanta Season 6, our rewatch, rewind, recap?
Hey, Kempire, how are you?
How are you?
Good. I was just going to say that watching the season again reminds me of how unlikable Kenya was during that season. And I always try to imagine, like, if somebody would have did to her what she was doing to Phaedra with Mark, Kenya would have lost it, because the way she felt about being married, it's like, I can't even imagine. But, and then as far as like Mama Joyce, I know from personal experience too, like having somebody like that, I mean, I feel so sorry for people who have a person like that as a parent, because my grandmother, my dad's mom, my mom is Black and my dad's mom is Korean, and his dad is Black. And my Korean grandmother is like, I mean, I have no words. Like, she is so unqualified and toxic and crazy, and it's just like, and she has 4 boys, my dad, and he has 3 brothers. So Candy is like alone, but I watched her like pit them against each other like my whole life. And I mean, just crazy stuff. Like, she has no qualms about being materialistic. She can easily be bought, but she would just do stuff where I'm like, are you a grandmother or like, who is this lady? Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. Like,
how does she treat you?
She always treated me good because you can tell I have Asian in me. So she's like that, you know, like my cousins
it's like that.
didn't look like her. Yeah. She would be like, call them ugly and stuff. And she told me when I was a little kid, like, feel my hands. And when I felt her hands, they were soft like a baby. And she was like, I never worked a day in my life. I'm like, okay. Are you trying to misguide me? But yeah, it's just like no words. Like, but I got away from her, but my dad and my uncles, you know, they're boys and that's their mom, and they could never stand up to her. Yeah, like all of them, they could never ever stand up to her. I used to be worried, like my youngest uncle, when he get a family of his own, like what's gonna happen, you know, because he was the last one left. And yeah, that's a whole nother story. But
wow.
On a random tip, but still pertaining to the Housewives, I never thought Todd was like a super common name, but Candy is married to Todd, Alexia is married to a Todd, and Bronwyn is married to a Todd.
Oh yeah, Todd.
Where did find all these Todds at?
we call him Todd.
Right.
TAWD.
And even Portia dated a Todd in between like Cordell and Dennis. Didn't she date a guy named Todd?
She didn't she?
I don't know. I'm like, they just found every Todd in the world, but that was all.
Thank you so much for sharing your personal business. We appreciate it, Brandy.
Oh, no problem.
Take care. Bye. That's interesting. Oh, interesting. Cute Potato says, let me find a Todd. All right, Semi's backstage. Semi, what did you want to share?
Hey, I just wanted to say, I know the read that Phaedra did was good, but in my mind, I always think like, yeah, but you look at the man you actually chose. So like, what read is that?
Boom,
so, like,
boom. Come on. Boom, Semi.
Like, okay, she's not getting the choice in the men, you know, maybe like a little dad.
He ain't no prize, but in her head, remember we talked about this at the top of these recaps, I was saying he's no prize, but everyone was like, oh, she wanted light skin and all of this, you know, he was just good looking. But you're right, he ain't no prize.
Yeah, I just thought that was always weird. But something that somebody said earlier, well, first of all, that Aquarius comment, not cute, okay, calling from an Aquarius here, okay?
It wasn't?
And I don't think untrue. I think it's very untrue. I love me some Kenya. I mean, she was messy and all that, but I thought she was good for the show. But my other thing was like, it was very interesting. Somebody said something about like how, I think you said the producers were like all, you know, nice to Phaedra about it and didn't even look after Kenya. And then I thought to myself, oh, and then later the producers set up Candy and used Portia. So I was like, oh, damn, this is Carlos King, isn't it? So that's all I thought about, like, putting that link together. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, well, that's all from me.
Thank you, Semi, for calling in.
Bye-bye.
Bye. I'm glad Semi said it, though, because it's true. It's like, yeah, the read landed. Let's be honest. Rehearsed, not rehearsed, whatever. It definitely landed. But then when you look at the man that's sitting next to Phaedra, that ain't no prize. That ain't no prize. Oh, in her head, though, she thinks that he's a prize. Because what? He's good looking? First of all, this was his second conviction that he was facing during this time. Second. Okay. Danielle's backstage. We're going to close it out with Danielle. Danielle, what did you want to share in regards to our rewind, rewatch, a recap of the Real Housewives of Atlanta season 6? That was a mouthful. That's what he said.
It was a mouthful. But you handled it. Hint, hint.
This is not Kempire After Dark. What did you want to share?
I was just making my notes on what I was going to say. One, yes, Todd dated Portia. That's the one she tried to do the baby contract.
Yes. I couldn't remember.
So he's a buddy of mine. I went to school with his brothers. I know that whole family. Yeah.
I think you did tell me that. Never mind.
I did, yeah. And then, so with the whole Portia and Kenya thing, y'all know I'm not a fan of either one of them, but I feel like what happened was supposed to happen, and it is what it is. And in regards to sorry. Candy and the whole mom thing. Mommy issues are a real thing. I didn't believe them for a long time. My girlfriend used to tell me how her mother was. My girlfriend used to compare her mom to Mama June from off of Shaws of Sunset. And that's what we jokingly call her.
Mm-hmm.
And then the more she opened up to me about her, mommy issues are real.
No, they're real.
And we see that with this. We see that, like the caller earlier said, with the Braxton sisters. That's a real thing. And sometimes your mother can be jealous of you. And when my girlfriend said that to me, I never thought about that. I was like, oh my goodness, is that a thing? And if you think about the access that we have today that our parents didn't have, we can sense some kind of jealousy. And then everyone's always talking about, did Candy's mother have like a boyfriend? She did have a boyfriend. And I can't wait for you to get to next season because I already but I passed through everything and started season 7. And it gets worse with the whole Todd of it all because his mom actually comes on the show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so this conversation and the way Candy reacts is going to be even more disappointing than what we're witnessing now.
And you're probably thinking to yourself, how did they even get married?
How did they make it? Yes. Literally... Yeah, I'm not even going to spill it. I mean, it's already been spilled. It's not like
it's already been spilled. We know what happens.
We know what happened. But the scene where they go to New York and they go eat with the mom, I think like at Bubblegum Shrimp or whatever, they go in Manhattan, they go eat. And Todd's mom asks Candy, well, why did your mother call me a a garden tool?
A hoe?
Oh, we can say that here? Okay, so why did your mother call me a... YouTube acts funny sometimes. I don't know.
I know.
She's like, why did your mother call me a hoe? And she was like, well, I don't know. My mom said that. She was like, well, your mother needs to take it back. And Candy, I appreciate how she stands 10 toes down for her mother, but you also have to admit your mother was wrong. Yeah. And it was just, and then her mother comes back and stands 10 toes down. And again, once we watch season 7, you'll see how Candy...
It's hinted that there was already some sort of fight between Mama Joyce and Todd's mother during this reunion. So I'm not surprised that we do get a scene with Sharon later on in season 7. So, because there was another situation where apparently Todd's mother called her the B word.
She did. And she also said, basically, it's on site when I see your mama, but we never get there. And it's all sad. And again, Mama Joyce, I want to see where they are today. I would love to get an update from Candy, even if she doesn't.
I can tell you what it is. I mean, I don't know. This is not fact. In my opinion, knowing a Scorpio mom, I'm sure they get along like fine. But it's not warm. I don't think it's not like, oh.
So they're being cordial.
Yeah. I don't think I think she's probably warm with the children, but I still probably believe. Because you saw what was in season 15, where she made that comment about Todd being look what Candy did. She turned lemons into lemonade, and that triggered an issue with them.
Yes. And they were already growing their success, and they had already gotten past the prenup and all the things. So yeah, Mama Joyce is just bitter, and yeah, that's all I got.
Singer said that they went to Sammy's in City Island. That's where they went. All right, Danielle. Thank you so much for calling in.
Well, you keep handling things, all that mouth loads.
Goodbye. All right. If you haven't already, be sure to like the video. Let's get to 350 likes. If you are watching the replay of our Rewind, Rewatch, recap of the Housewives of Atlanta Season 6, be sure to share your thoughts and opinions on how this season played out. We did a few episodes every single week. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Stay tuned. We will decide what city and what season we will do next. Won't be on Mondays. Once our schedule frees up a little bit during the week, then we'll bring it back during the week. But stay tuned. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And thank you to everyone that came to our live shows in Philly, in Atlanta, in Washington, D.C., and our final show here this past Friday in New York City. Thank you to the content creators that opened up for me. Taria Faison from the What Else Going On podcast. Danielle, who helped us out at the Washington, D.C. and Philly shows. Also, the Brooke Ashley. The Batty twins that opened up for us in Atlanta. Thank you to everyone that supported the show. We appreciate you guys. And everyone that bought tickets, shared, and told people, and you spread the word. I appreciate it. Don't forget, new tour merch for the Kempire After Dark, the Villain Era, is now available at houseofkempire.com. That's HAUS of Kempire.com. More information is available in the description. Don't forget, you can also hear this live recap and special episodes on the Kempire podcast. All of that information, again, is available in the description. And while you're there, don't forget to like this video, and don't forget to give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. I hope you guys have a great rest of your Monday and a great week. Let's just put it out there. We're going to have an amazing week with amazing surprises. Amazing surprises, right? Right. All right, y'all. I'll see you all in the next one. Oh, Friday. Friday, I will be going live with our friends over at Butter Skin, doing our very first online shopping event, all kinds of contests and prizes and things. You want to know about my skincare? Well, right now, you can go and get 10% off of any of their products in the description. All right, so go get your ticket, your Butter Skincare today, all right, and get 10% off with our code, all right? Let me just say thank you. We had a couple of super chats. Katie, thank you so much for the super chat. Katie says, Mama Joyce called Todd's late dad a pimp. Wild. Oh, my God. Completely forgot about that. Rita, thank you so much for the super sticker. We appreciate your support as well. And also thank you to everyone that brought me like all kinds of gifts during the tour. I appreciate them as well. I'm using them. I was burning one of the candles yesterday, all the stuff. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Oh, and I'm enjoying the coffee cake from Sprinkled by Melissa Gorga. Tasty. Tasty. All right, y'all. I'll see you guys later. Bye. Thanks for tuning in to Kempire here on the Kempire Radio Network. Don't forget to give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. And for more information on the podcast, head on over to KempireRadio.com.